Servus and hello. This is Matthias Eichler and this is Singletrack. This week, I am chatting with Tomasz Drybala from Poland, who is a long distance runner, motivational speaker, and author of the upcoming book, Flow Up, Get Rid of Anxiety, Stress, and Overwhelm, and unlock focus, creativity, and joy. Life changes led Tom to Southeast Asia, where before the pandemic began, he started the challenge to run 11,000 kilometers from Hanoi, Vietnam to Denpasar, Bali. Currently, he's running 2,500 kilometers in the UK and Poland. And in the beginning of this August, Tom is about to embark on a journey to run the entire circumference of Earth, the full 40,075 kilometers, starting in New York and ending in Olympia, Washington, most likely. Well, I will let him tell you his story, how he got into running, and what he's getting out of it, since he's not in it to chase trophies at the big races across the globe. But before we dive in, I wanted to tell you one more time about Electric Cable Car. ElectricCableCar.com is a blog, a news site, and a place to collect, gather, and comment on news, events, and happenings around the world of mountain sports, and specifically trail and ultra running. Look, there are plenty of websites that follow the athletes. I want to follow the business, the race organizations, and the gear companies and find the connections, the trends, the directions our sport is heading in. It's an exciting time to be in this sport, and I want to share with you what I think are the important stories that drive it. So please check out Electric Cable Car at electriccablecar.com and let me know what you think. Okay, and now from Poland, here is Tom. I'm always interested in unique stories. I don't know how much you're in tune with the trail and ultra world here in the US, but everybody is losing their heads right now because of Western states, the big race in California, and so there are so many stories that are coming out of I'm running Western States, and so I'm trying to find unique stories to share.
To be honest, I never race it with other people. I'm running on my own, and I never run the marathon. I mean, I'm running much more than the marathon distance, but I never raced with anyone.
So that's super interesting. Is that just because running is something completely different for you, or is it just because you haven't found the time to actually sign up for any races?
No, it's I think the first one. I never ever actually think about this. I never try to compete with people. It just don't matter to me at all. I mean, I know lots of people who do this, and they do this for the sake of being with the other people and meeting lots of great faces and talking with them, and for the personal satisfaction. But I think that my life journey just pushed me a bit different way. I started running some crazy distances, and actually I didn't find the partner who would like to run with me, such crazy challenges.
You find some, you're a runner too. What's your training plan for the weekend? Oh, yeah, I'm not going to run with you.
That's actually how it looks.
That's amazing. Tom, thank you so much for being on Singletrack. You're calling in from Poland right now, am I correct?
Yes, at current time I'm running 1,000 kilometers through Poland.
1,000 kilometers through Poland. Is that just 1,000 kilometers, or is it like left and right or up and down? Is there specific markers?
Yeah, I actually started running 2,500 kilometers, so 1,550 miles roughly, through the United Kingdom in March, by the end of March this year. I passed half of the distance through United Kingdom, so 1,250 kilometers. Then there was half term, and I need to spend some time with my sons, and I came to them to Poland, to my family town, to visit the family, because I haven't been in Poland for 6 years. And because later, after I complete this run, quite soon I'm starting the huge challenge, the big challenge, which will last for another 3.5 years. So my mom just simply asked me, "Oh, can you just do something for the family. So I just stay in Poland. I drop my son back to London, and I just stay in Poland. And I'm actually enjoying a lot of time now, because I'm going out from my family home for like half of the day to do the run, and I'm actually coming back to the same place. So
Oh, cool.
I don't have to cook.
Yeah,
I don't
nice,
have to
nice.
wash. So it's a great stuff.
So before we dive into the why of how you're doing these insane distances, let's quickly break down the how. So you you have to sort of paint a picture to our listeners a little bit more of like what it is you are doing. So you've come up with a number. Okay, I want to run 1,000 miles or 2,500 miles or something, and then how do you break it up practically? Explain this to me a little
Sure.
bit.
So everything started for me with those big challenges. Everything started for me from the struggle which I did have in for most of my life, and I just wanted to improve my mental health. And in March 2018, I started a really intensive trainings. But as I said, I never race. I never was interested much about the nutritions and about the trainings. I was just simply doing this on my own. I was just going for a run. I was just going to a gym and just doing on my own. And slowly, I was just running more and more and more, lifting up, the mileage, the number of steps which I'm doing throughout the day. And then in March, I think, no, sorry, in November 2018, the guy in United Kingdom, Ross, he completed swimming around the Great Britain. He was swimming like for something nearly 160 days in the sea. And when I started intensive training in March, I didn't actually know yet what I'm training for. And I was like, oh gosh, if that guy could stay in the sea for nearly 200 days, that's absolutely crazy. I can actually do some crazy challenges too. And then I lift up my training, and in April 2019, I bought the tickets and I fly to Bali in Indonesia. And next day, I started running with the intention to make 5 million steps in 100 days. So the idea was to make 5 million steps by running, cycling, because I go there with the bike, swimming, and cross fitness. So I did have a activity watch, and the activity watch was calculating all the steps. So at that time, I was already doing between 25 to 40,000 steps a day after my training. And I started intensively lifting up my training. I faced, a huge resistance from my body and from my mind, because I started really heavily pushing my limits, and that was actually the whole idea, to push my limits and to push it extremely, and to prepare myself for bigger challenge. So when you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, I have 50,000 steps to make this morning, you don't really want to get out of the bed. So I find a way. So I divided my training on 10,000 steps cycle. It wasn't helping a lot, so I divided this on 5,000 step cycle. And I started focusing only on 5,000 steps. So that's roughly around half an hour of running. But you are tricking your mind, because you are saying to mind, oh no, I have only 5,000 steps to pass, so only half an hour. But the mind is saying to you, no, 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 you have 50,000 steps, you want to make 50 kilometers. But if you keep repeating to yourself that, no, 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 it's okay, after this, we will have another half an hour, then with the time you just clicking, you just starting believing in this. And the trick with this was, which I learned a year later, that you are setting for yourself the reward system, because every half an hour you have release of the dopamine in the brain, which is a reward drug. and you feel better, you feel that you achieved something. So then I divided those half an hour, those 5,000 steps. When I realized this and when I learned about this from the internet, I divided this on 15 minutes. So basically, I was focusing on half an hour, but after 15 minutes, I was halfway of the journey. So I was halfway throughout the day. So, every 15 minutes, I did some kind of the reward for myself. So that was like, slowing down for 2-3 minutes, or even, I was running through Bali. So there was some beautiful view, and I just enjoy the beautiful view and make some picture, make some selfie, or I drink a bit of water, I have a little snack. So, I managed to create the system when actually every 15 minutes my brain was releasing a bit of dopamine, which was holding me for the rest of the day. And this way, I was changing the locations. So basically, I go to one beautiful location in Bali. I was running around to see everything for 2-3 days. Then I sit down on the bike, I pack all the stuff, and I go to another beautiful location. And then again, I was going around. So it was a lot of, heavily enjoyable time.
I mean, that sounds amazing. Take me back when you come up with a number and a goal like that. How do you determine this is possible but will challenge me? Like, because we could like plug numbers out from the sky, and after 3 days we realize it's physically actually not possible, or it's too easy. Like, how do you come up with a challenge? Like how much preparing and planning goes in beforehand to say, okay, this is something that I want to commit myself to?
To be honest, if I would know how much it's gonna cost, probably I would not commit to this. So I just jump on this. I was just looking for something really challenging. I was already running in London around between 25 to 40,000 steps a day. It was heavy, it was difficult, but it was manageable. So I divided those 5 million steps on 100 days. I calculated that that's like 50,000 steps a day. I said, okay, I think it's going to be manageable. But some of the days you can't actually run. You need some break in those 100 days. I was actually moving from. I started in Bali, then I moved to Nusa Pedina, then I moved to Gili Islands. Then I moved to, my visa was expiring, so I moved in Indonesia, so I moved to Borneo Island. Then I was running through the rainforest and palm tree plantations. Then I moved to Philippines, and I was running through Luzon, Cebu, and Boho Island. Then my visa was expiring again, so I moved to Taiwan, and I complete the challenge in Taiwan. So, I lose some days on flying from one place to another place. So I started at the very beginning, and the temperature, the climate, it's something what I actually didn't
Humidity.
consider.
Mm-hmm.
Time, because I go to the completely different time zone. I was quite of the newbie. I was pretty much naive when I started this, but it worked out. I mean, some of the days was extremely heavy because I lose some of the days. At the beginning, I was making less steps. So by the end, I actually get to the point when I did have to, on some of the days, I did have to hit like 100,000 steps. The absolute record, which I did in one day, was 107,000 steps in one day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was in in 1 month, when I wanted to hit 2 million steps in a month, and it was 107,000 steps missing on the last day. So I said, I have to try to do it. And I did it. I don't remember exactly. It was something around 14, 15, maybe 16 hours. I finished after the midnight. I remember I was in Philippines, in a Cebu island at that time. And when I was coming, I was on the first floor, in the room on the first floor. When I was coming back to the room, I hold the rail and I couldn't lift up my steps, my legs to get on the next step. It took me quite a time to to get on the first floor. But next day morning was beautiful, was glorious. I was the winner. When I managed to make something like this, I knew that I can train for anything.
So you set these goals, and while the numbers are beautiful, they are completely arbitrary, right? You're not competing against other runners. You're just setting that for yourself. What's the motivation? Like you went to Indonesia and Southeast Asia. Did you just go on vacation and you challenged yourself on a big sabbatical? Like, how does this flow in with the rest of the life? Now we're getting to the why.
Sure. In I go through the several childhood traumas when I was a little kid, but I didn't have idea about this. I didn't know about this. I was living in a normal family. I was having normal friends, and everything was pretty much similar, like most of my friends and most of the society when I was living. But I actually wrote the entire book about this, and the whole book was is born out of something that I was struggling the entire life with, and it heavily affected me for nearly 40 years of my life. And on the middle of 2015, I lost the business. I will my relationship collapsed. I have two sons, and I wasn't living with my sons any longer. And it was really the heaviest time in my life, the most difficult, the lowest time in my life. And I just realized that, okay, there's some kind of the pattern which I'm repeating, which is happening in my life, because that kind of the situation happened every few years. um so I said, okay, I just have to do something different with my life. I cannot continue this. I need to find out what is happening. And I just go, because all these things which was happening to me was kind of the extreme. I go the extreme way to resolve this. I didn't go on holiday. It actually started from the holiday, because when I was when I got divorced in 2015, when I lost the business, in January 2016, I go to Asia for 1 month just on my own. I was lying for 4 weeks on a beach, pretty much devastated, in a bad mental condition, just reading the books, just making a notes what goes wrong in my life, what goes, more dwelling on the past and worrying about the future. But actually, on this empty beach, I met few people from Germany, New Zealand, and Australia, and I couldn't believe why there is such a big difference between my behavior, between how I feel and see the world, and how they behave. They just been simply, and to be honest, for the first time, I met a people truly happy, truly satisfied with their life. People who are fulfilled, who are smiling, I know, who are not pretending to smile. And the way how they were, I was there to deal with the heavy trauma. They were there on the holidays, but it wasn't really about the time because they are on the holiday. The way how they were talking about those entire life was completely different how I seen my life, and I just get hooked up. I just said, okay, there is really something not right, between my behavior and their behavior, between how I feel and they feel. And I got hooked up, and I decided, okay, I have to change my life. I have to do something. I didn't know how to begin and what to do. But when I come back to London, I just start wearing different t-shirt. I just replace coffee with tea. I was going to the different places. I tried to meet different people. I started running 5, 6 times per week, up to 1 hour. And slowly I was kind of proving to myself that I can change this and I can improve, that things was getting better. But I still felt all the time anxious. I still felt stressed. I still felt overwhelmed. I still felt, like I'm worrying about the future, like I'm dwelling in the past. I literally was describing this sometimes to people when I was talking with them about this. I was describing to them like I have a clenched fist inside my stomach, and that fist is sometimes releasing a bit, but it's still holding me. But sometimes like really heavily holding me back, like I cannot move forward, like I can kind of the getting to some point in my life and I cannot make that another step, like I have to move back, and I was landing up, you know, either in the same place or the few steps back. And actually, you know, all those things I realized that when I was running my two challenges in Asia, those 5 million steps, which I already said, and the other one was to make 11,000 kilometers, to run 11,000 kilometers, roughly nearly 7,000 miles. So after that 5 million steps, I did get a 3 weeks break, and then I moved to Hanoi in Vietnam, and I started running 11,000 kilometers through Asia. Just with a backpack, just on my own. I was setting up the distance every single day when I was looking for the hotel for the hostel accommodation in the next location. And then I was trying to run from one location to another location. So I ran through Vietnam, then Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore. That was roughly 5,500 kilometers, which I passed. And then the COVID-19 catch me, changed the plans, changed the plans for all of us. And I managed to escape by the last boat 4 hours before the Singapore and Malaysian borders was shut down for lockdown. And I escaped to Indonesia, to Sumatra, and I supposed to run around Sumatra through Java and finish in Bali, remaining 5,500 kilometers. Indonesia was never in a full lockdown, but you can go to a shop, you can go even to the restaurant, you can meet people, but you cannot move even from one village to another village. So I couldn't go to the airport. I couldn't come back. I got stuck just next to the ferry in a small village next to the jungle. I was the only person speaking English there. I was only the local people, and it becomes really danger for the first 2-3 weeks because the people was attacking me. They thought that I brought the COVID to them. The police, two police officers was speaking a bit in English. They asked me to stay in the hotel room, to not get out, and for sure to not getting out in the evening. I just realized at some point that I get stuck, that we don't know. It was March 2020. No one knows. Yeah, nobody knew what's gonna happen. I realized, okay, I get stuck here for I don't know how long. So I decided, okay, I have to get out of the room. I cannot sit in my room for a few months. So I choose a one road through the village and through the jungle. The police was talking with the locals, saying that okay, I'm not sick, I'm fine. I didn't bring the COVID. And then I started running again. I divided the remaining distance, 5,500 miles, kilometers, on 268 half marathons. And I was running 2 to 5 half marathons daily. The same road through the village and through the jungle. And I pass remaining 5,500 kilometers. After 3 months, the borders was open, so I could actually come back to London. But then I decided, okay, I'm like 3/4 through the challenge. I want to finish the challenge, so I stay for another 3 months, and I finish running 11,000 kilometers. I know the crazy things started happen there because I did have a lot of time. I did have to focus on myself, and I discovered the state of flow when I was running through those both challenges. And When I was running through Asia, through all these jungles, little roads, through the fields, through the villages, you cannot see this when you're going there for a holiday, but when you are running through places like this, the snakes are absolutely everywhere. And, some of them are not dangerous, some of them are really dangerous, and on many occasions I almost step on the snake because I just seen it in the last minute. And it was kind of the that's how I seen this life of a or a death situation, because when I was running on my own just with the backpack, if the snake will bite me and I'm somewhere on the middle of the jungle and no one actually, the cars or the bikes are like passing me every 1 hour, I may not get the help on time. So I couldn't dwell on the past any longer. I couldn't worry about the future any longer. I just did have to focus on what is in front of me. And I did. I was just, trying to all the time to looking in front of me, and I was just looking in front of me to see if I can see any snakes. And at some point, I started running like 60 kilometers, 70 kilometers, 100 kilometers a day. And it felt like maybe not easy, because of course it's a heavy physical exercise, but it kind of felt effortless and extremely enjoyable. I just did it. It was not like I stopped and I said, oh, I cannot run any longer, I have to finish. I just did it. So at some point I did have to also push myself, but I did it. Not only this, after running for a few hours, I was able to, after an hour or two rest, I was able to open my laptop and work for another few hours for the rest of the day. And I was like, what the hell is happening to me? There was something what I never experienced in my life. All this anxiety, stress, overwhelm, I just didn't feel this anymore. It's just disappeared. So I got curious and I started searching the internet and trying to find out what is happening to me. And then I discovered that I'm getting into the state of flow, and I never heard about this before.
So you're speaking of discovering this flow state, but let me ask you another question. Before we dive more into what that means and is, why do you think you discovered flow rather than boredom? Because you're doing the same thing every single day over and over again. Aren't you getting bored of this? I mean, I go out running, but there are days when I just go through the motion where I don't feel like, and giving how many days and how many times a day you're running, having to put on those shoes back on, having to step back outside. Why do you think you didn't get bored but discovered something else?
No, because if you look at all my challenges, every time they are in a different place, every time they are in different location. I'm not usually I'm not sleeping even 2 nights in the same hotel. I'm just running from one place to another. So there is a factor of new discovery of every day, and I'm really not getting bored. I'm really looking forward to the next day. Even when as I said, that at current time, I'm actually staying in my family home, and every day I'm actually, by the end of the day, I'm coming back to the same place, but I'm running through the different roads. I'm just running to the different places, and around the different locations. So I'm just purposefully creating the conditions for flow. So no, definitely I'm not getting bored. Well, yeah, but yeah, to be honest, when I was running in London, when I was training in London for a few months, yeah, I was getting bored. I was missing that factor of discovery every day.
Yeah, and I can see that. So let me ask you one more practical question before we dive into the flow piece, and that is, running that many miles requires how many new pairs of shoes? What do you do about the gear?
Yeah. how many kilometers I was running, and I'm roughly running around 500-600 kilometers in each shoes.
Okay.
And then I'm changing them.
And when you're running through Asia, is it easy to find new shoes? Is it like do you have like a stack of shoes in the corner and you just go through one at a
No,
time?
when I was running through Asia, I was actually struggling a lot financially. So I will send you a picture of the shoes, but at some point I was connecting the shoes with the duct tape and plastic strapes to actually hold them on my feet. And I passed the both challenges, 5 million steps and making 11,000 kilometers in 3 pair of shoes. So you can imagine how those shoes was looking. At the end, they barely stay in on my feet.
Well, if you change the shoes so frequently, I'm less worried about the shoes then because I know they're going to fall apart. I'm more worried about your feet. How did you keep yourself physically healthy?
I mean, the Asia, when I was running both challenges in Asia, that's a different kind of the story. Because I was really struggling at this time, and I did have a much stronger motivation and kind of the different motivation because I wanted to get out of that, low point in my life, which I did have. And the fit was looking really terrible on some days. I don't have actually these problems now. I use the anti-blister socks. I run in the same shoes, which I know that fits well to me. I change them the way how I supposed to change. I have the shoes for recovery after running. So it's actually not a big problem. But the amazing thing is that during all those challenges and all those miles which I already passed, I did have only twice the injury. Once I squeezed my ankle and I was out of running for about 3 weeks. And the second one is just recently when I feel a strong pain below my feet. So I'm actually, for the past week, I'm running a bit less, like half of the distance, because I need to give a bit of time to my feet for the recovery. But
That's a good long distance runner. I'm injured, so I'm running less. I'm still running. I'm just running less.
yeah, I mean, when the injury was serious, then I didn't run. But when I practice, like now I'm practice mindful running, active meditation, I'm really conscious about my body and I'm really listening to my body. And I can recognize that injury pain and the grow pain. Um, and so far it's working for me, and I can really see that the big injury which I have, I just stepped the wrong way. It was a bit silly because we was recording a video and I go to run on a trail, which I'm usually not running on a trail, and I was running in a different shoes, and I'm not running in different shoes, so it was silly mistake, which I never repeat again.
I hear you. I hear you. So, throughout all of this, you added a whole bunch of new challenges, and you also have written a book. So, let's talk about the book first. Tell me what the book is all about. Tell me how the book ties in to what you've discovered running these insane distances.
Sure. So basically, the book already includes most of these things which I already said about my discovery, about the issues which I did have for the first nearly 40 years of my life. And then the book is kind of the guide how to deal with those issues and how to use mindful running and active meditation to create conditions for flow and to remove flow blocks, so then we have a higher chance that we can get into the flow, because there is no guarantee, there is no like a secret formula to get into the flow. But if you follow some of the steps to create conditions for flow, then it's a high possibility that you can achieve that state. So for me it was kind of the groundbreaking discovery when when I started practicing mindful running and active meditation purposefully, and consciously, and I started, creating the coaching program, and I started to looking for the ways how to, create those conditions for flow. And when I learned more information about this, when I read more books and more articles online, I learned that during the flow state, the front of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, is shutting down, is almost not working. Is an efficiency exchange because the other parts of the brain are cortex is shutting down. Our nervous system is restarting. When the nervous system resets, all those anxieties, stress, overwhelms disappearing. Time is calculated in the prefrontal cortex. If the prefrontal cortex shuts down, our brain cannot any longer separate the past from the future and from the present, and we are getting into the deep now, into the present moment, into what is happening here and now, in that current time. When the prefrontal cortex shut down, our sense of self resets. So that means that we don't criticize ourselves any longer. We are not doubting ourselves. We are taking a higher risk because we are not doubting ourselves, and literally we are getting out of our own way. And the practicing. So when you remember when I was saying before about the flow, each time actually when I get into the flow, when I was running, I was resetting my nervous system. I was like kind of the starting fresh, and that's why the things I was forgetting about the things that I cannot do it, that I'm not good enough, that I don't have enough experience, that I didn't train enough yet. I was just completely not considering those things. I was in the present moment, highly focused on task at hand, and I was just doing. I was just, pushing. I was just running. Now, the practicing mindful running and active meditation lead me to the discovery that all those anxieties, stresses, overwhelm, that overwhelming feeling that I cannot move forward, that I'm getting to some point in life and then I cannot make another step. That squeezed fist, that crunched fist inside my stomach, which I was describing it that way, which was holding me back. All of this was caused by the traumatic experiences when I was a little kid. And I was from the normal family, and many people think that traumatic experiences it must be some kind of the war or the death or I don't know, domestic violence, and of course it is the traumatic experiences, but traumatic experiences could be as simple as being questioned by your teacher in front of your class, and you may say your unpopular opinion on popular subject, and then the teacher disagree with you, and the kids in class they laughing at you, and you close yourself, and for the rest of your life you push. That's the traumatic event for you. You push this on the back of your head, and for the rest of your life you may not share your true opinion, or you may holding your back from public speaking. That's kind of the I'm talking also about that kind of the traumatic experiences which we have in our life. So this can be really simply explained at how this is holding us for the rest of the life, and why I felt that crunched fist inside my stomach. So the thing is that our brain doesn't recognize the difference between the reality and visualization. So what that means that if we see lion in front of us, or if triggered by some event in our current life, we have that traumatic memory from the past, from our childhood, the memory which we already push, far away, we completely forget about this. The brain responds to both those events the same way. So it responds with the fight and flight response. So when the event like this happen, when we see the lion in front of us, or we have that traumatic memory from our past, the brain is sending signal to our body that there is a danger in front of us. When the body get this signal, body doesn't recognize what kind of the signal it is, but it recognizes the danger, and the body tightens. It's ready to run away, escape, or it's ready to fight. When the body tightens, it sends the signal back to the brain about the danger, because body will sense the danger. The brain receives the signal, senses the danger, and sends the signal back to our body, and the vicious cycles begins. And the thing is that we may break this cycle by simply talking with someone, or going out, or meeting the friends, or talking with the family, or by exercises, and that's great. But if we didn't heal that past experiences, the same signal will come back over and over and over and over until we resolve this. The other thing is, the things which happen in my case, is that sometimes when that signal, that danger signals begins, and that body tightens, the body doesn't release. It's less or more, but that tightness is still all the time in our body, and that's happening in my case, that it was kind of the holding me all the time. And you remember when I was talking about the flow, it sometimes may happen that this may stay with us for the entire life. Like in my case, it was almost for 40 years of my life. And you remember when we was talking about the flow and about the prefrontal cortex, when the nervous system resets, when I was getting into the flow, I was breaking that cycle. That cycle didn't continue. And because I realized that all of this is connected to those traumatic experiences, and at some point I become really conscious about my thoughts, about my feelings, about my emotions, about my body. I started recognizing, if I think something or if I feel something, that I feel the pain in that part of the leg, and I was recognizing that, the particular events was actually causing this pain in the legs. So because I become really conscious about this, because I was continually for a few years practicing mindful running and active meditation, I finally heal all those past experiences, and the crazy things started happening in my life. I was able to focus for hours at task at hand, without any distractions. I mean, you have to create that time without this distractions, switch off the phone, and block those distractions. But that's how I make the 5 million steps. That's how I ran 7,000 miles through Asia. That's how I created 12 weeks coaching program, when I teach people how to do the same what I did. When I was running through Asia, through Thailand, I was just running with a backpack from university to university, and I was sharing these discoveries. I was running the workshops at 20 universities in Thailand. Some of them was the sport universities, some of them was like economy, law. That's how I get booked for 34 universities in Singapore, in Malaysia. But unfortunately, COVID happened, and I couldn't come back to Malaysia and Singapore. That's how I started working with a few charities which taking care of trying to resolve the issues caused by traumatic experiences. That's how I wrote the books, and that's how I'm training now for my biggest challenge, and I'm planning to run 25,000 miles.
So it is fascinating how this very simple physical activity led you to a healing process that is not just a physical healing process. You get healthier, you lose weight. A lot of people go running because they want to get active, right? They want to live a better physical life. But there is this other aspect that you've discovered through that process that is completely free, not quite completely free, because you're still counting your steps and your miles, and you're going for goals. But it is a very different way of tracking your process than being in a training plan and focusing on the next race and focusing on how to get faster and doing specific trainings. Like, you really finding running as a way of putting yourself into a mental place where you get to experience who you really are. And that's an interesting journey to take, right? We don't think about that.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And I think, this is actually what drives me. And this is what allows me to run such a crazy distances just with a backpack. Because up to now, all the challenges I just did simply with a backpack, and I just have a laptop inside my backpack, just couple of t-shirts and some shorts, and I'm just running with this. But this where my motivation is coming to change things. When I was learning, when I was reading all these books last year, I read 24 books about the subject. And when I was learning about all those things, I discovered that traumatic experiences, if we don't heal those traumatic experiences, we are passing them to the next generation. So I was really worried that, and it was terrifying me, that I have two sons, and if I don't heal this, if they gonna continue see me anxious, stressed, and overwhelmed, with the time, those feelings will become normal for them, and they will adopt this to those life. And when they will be adults, they're gonna behave the same way, because this is how it's working. This is how our brain is working. That our brain will always push us until we change this consciously and purposefully. Our brain will always push us to something what is the most familiar, to the feelings which are the most familiar. So if my kids will grow with me when I'm feeling anxious, there's a familiar feeling with them, for them, and those brain will later push them to the same feeling. And it was terrifying me. I'm still terrified that the book is not published yet, but it's ready. And my sons are 10 and 17, so they don't really think about this stuff which I'm doing. But I the entire coaching program, the entire book. If I reach with this just to my sons, that's what I'm doing. That's my motivation. That's my
Yeah, you're breaking that generational cycle, right?
exactly.
And
I just
you're
said to
creating.
myself, okay, this is ending with me. I talked with my parents, with my grandparents, and it was in my family for generations. And I said, okay, enough. Wherever I pass on my kids already, I pass it, but now I can show them the way how they can heal it, how they can break that cycle. And this is what I'm doing, and I don't need any other motivation. If I manage to inspire one person each day along the way of my running road, that's beautiful. That's what I want.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what's the name of your book, and when is it going to be released?
So the main name of my book is Flow Up, Get Rid of Anxiety, Stress, and Overwhelm, and Unlock Focus, Creativity, and Joy. So actually all of this is what I did. And the book is scheduled to be released on 30th of October this year. So yeah.
So fantastic. So we'll have links to your website and to places where people can pre-order the book in the show notes of the podcast. Before I let you go, and you need to tell us a little bit about your upcoming projects, because I looked at your website and you've got some crazy runs and routes planned, and I want to hear all about them.
Sure. So yeah, at current time I'm actually training for the big challenge. So at current time I'm running that a bit over 1,500 miles, but that's the preparation for the main challenge. And the main challenge starts on the 29th of August this year. I will be flying to
My
New York.
birthday.
Oh, good, great. Happy birthday. So, I'm flying to New York and I'm starting running from New York down the country through the Atlantic Ocean coast to Florida. Then I'm turning towards the Mexican border. I'm running through the Mexican border on the other side of United States to San Diego. Then I'm turning up and running through the Pacific Ocean coast to Portland, so almost to the top of the United States. Then we will have a 1 month break, and we have to transport all the equipment to another continent. We are moving to Hong Kong. I'm starting running from Hong Kong through China, all the time through the ocean coast, so through China, Vietnam, Cambodia, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and then Sumatra, Java, and Bali in Indonesia. So that's actually the part which I didn't complete the last time, and I'm really looking forward to run this distance once again. So through United States, we'll be running something around 6,200 miles. Then through Asia, I will be running something around 7,000 miles again. Then we have another month break. We are moving all the equipment to Kuwait, and I'm starting running through Arabian Peninsula, the U shape. So running down the country, down the Kuwait, going to Saudi Arabia, through Bahrain, so around the Bahrain, around the Qatar, Saudi Arabia again, then the United Arab Emirates. I'm going to Oman. I'm running around Oman, but I'm not entering Yemen because it's still a war zone. So I'm going a bit up and then getting back to Saudi Arabia. And probably this is going to be the hardest part because I will have to run around 1,000 kilometers through empty quarter. So if we don't have delay, the way how the distance is calculated now, then I will actually run in a month when the temperature will be around 35, maybe 40 degrees Celsius, not the Fahrenheit. I don't know exactly how much it's in Fahrenheit.
Hot. It's hot.
But it's hot. But if I have delays and if I run in the summer times, the temperature may be even like 55 degrees Celsius. So this is gonna be really, really hard. And then I'm turning up to through the Saudi Arabia, running through Red Sea coast, passing the Red Sea coast on other side, running a bit through Egypt to Cairo, 600 kilometers to Cairo. Another month break, and we starting then from Athens in Greece. Then I'm running through all the time through first the Mediterranean Sea, then the Atlantic Ocean coast. So I'm running through Greece, Albania, Montenegro, Croatia, Slovenia, Italy, Monaco, France, Spain, Gibraltar, Portugal, and a bit of England. But through England is a final part when I will arrive to London, and hopefully that will be end of 2025. And I will complete the challenge. We have over 400 events along the way, 100 events for philanthropic events for UNICEF. We will be raising funds. We already actually raise funds for the kids from Ukraine. We'll be raising funds also for kids from Venezuela, Philippines, and Yemen. I'm focusing on child protection and education. So all of this what I was struggling with for many years. and another 300 events are the events related to my work, because I have to work also.
I was just going to ask, how are you funding this? I mean, I know that as a European traveling in other parts of the country, sometimes it's inexpensive. You can stay at cheap backpackers and stuff, but especially here in the US, right? I mean, you're going to be there for weeks, gas, hotels and stuff.
Yeah, I
How do
mean,
you fund it? Do you have sponsors?
I'm working with a sponsorship agency, so we are arranging some sponsorships for this. I'm starting from when I will start on the 29th of August. I'm starting on my own, just with a backpack, so it's not heavily expensive first 3 months. By the end of October, before my book will be released, the team will join us, and we will have the caravan, so it will be easier because I don't need to run any longer from hotel to hotel. We will have the caravan with us. I'm working with the speaking agencies, so I'm a keynote speaker, so we are arranging lots of workshops along the way. So, I'm running in a, I'm building the routine for the past few months, for over a year, and I'm running Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday I have a recovery there, no physical activity. And then I'm running Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday I have a recovery there. I will be starting my running really early in the morning, around 5-6 in the morning. Hopefully I will finish by about 2-3 p.m. That's what I was doing when I was running through Asia. So then I have a late afternoon time for some speaking engagements, for workshops. So book is going live. I have a 12 weeks online course which people can buy, which I teach all those techniques which I have learned and which I practice it. I'm building the community of mindful running and active meditation practitioners. All of this is bringing a bit of funding. So I spend a lot of time building all those income streams, plus finding the proper agencies who can assist me along the way of my running road. All of this is for the great cause, but I cannot be hypocrite. I'm also taking care about my family and my life. But I'm running business and I'm helping to other people. I know there is a lot of people dealing with similar problems as I did have for many years. And the irony of the whole situation is that for almost 40 years of my life, I didn't have idea. I didn't know that there is anything wrong with me. I was just living in a society. Everyone was behaving the same way, feeling the same way. When I was trying something new, people was telling me, "Oh, don't go there. I just stay here. Be with us. You will not succeed. You have to be rich to reach to get to places." That's not true. My message to everyone is that I believe that each of us should have the same chance to build a life we are proud to live, regardless of our past experiences. My message to people is that wherever you go through in life, you can heal from it. You can be whoever you want to be in life. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve in life. I'm still struggling. Things are not beautiful yet, but I'm moving forward. Nothing is holding me back any longer. I'm just, trying to improve myself, to every day to be better than I was yesterday. As I said at the beginning, I'm not competing with anyone. And this is what I'm trying to share with people. I'm just trying to inspire them, to motivate them to keep moving, to keep running, and to build that believing system inside them that with the time, things will get better and the life would get better. They just have to keep moving.
Perfect. This is an absolute beautiful story. Thank you for sharing your journey to get to this place. Thank you for your openness. I'm excited that I'm catching you sort of early on in this process, especially when it comes to your journey here in the United States. since this podcast is based here in the US, so we'll have lots of listeners who'll be able to follow you along. Are you going to have a live tracker? Are people able to see where you are at, that they could potentially join you for a couple miles during the day or so?
Yeah, of course. We will have a live tracker so people can, we will actually arrange, we will have a lots of events for runners along the way. We will actually do the, we will arrange the runners to run with me, to support me. I will have, when my team joins me by the end of October, I will have a camera with me 24 hours a day. We will actually create the documentary movies from 4 seasons. So it will be like, season from United States, Asia, Arabia, and Europe. Usually I'm using at current time, I'm really using the Instagram, but when the main challenge begins, all my social media will be very active. So yeah.
Super. That sounds fantastic. I have one very practical question. You are stopping in Portland. Could I request you to run 170 kilometers further north and stop in Olympia? That's where I'm based. You're like very, very close.
And talk at the end.
Absolutely. We can organize
podcast. Yeah,
absolutely.
We have a deal.
we can organize a live event here in Olympia if you can swing up just a little bit further. What is 170 kilometers?
Yeah, comparing to the 25,000 miles which I have to pass. I'm sure I can do it. We have a deal.
Fantastic. Tom, thank you so much for your time. This is an incredible story. I really, really hope listeners are going to able to be inspired. Check out your book when it's released. Follow you on a journey. Perhaps even see you in person. Thank you for finding this podcast all the way from Poland and sharing your story.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and see you soon.